very, very prominent in the meta. And you said you wanted to see missing go towards one of those. We've been seeing a lot of Karma presence. So maybe going for the Ezreal, that's kind of signaling that we're going to pair this up with a Karma, potentially with a Bard, kind of putting the ball in OMG's court. Do you take the Karma, or do you maybe go for an Ashe Seraphine in response? It's going to be the Karma takeaway.
Okay, Karma with the Jarvan, so giving Guhan a little bit more, I guess, gas in the engine, because at this point you can absolutely just have those early game plays as Guhan. You can kind of lead the tempo of the game itself. We'll see if he does end up doing that, but want to see what the response is going to be. It's going to be the Croco Lee Sin coming through. I had, the champ is good. I'm an ADC player. I hate seeing Lee Sin in the meta. I've said it one time. I'll probably say it a million more, but you have the mechanics, and Croco can absolutely get the outplay here in this setup. And then you also have the Bard on top of it, so a lot of roaming from missing and going to those enchanters.
This is a very interesting draft sequence that's unfolding here. You almost never really see the Ezreal first pick, but kind of what's going on there is, as I said, you're picking the Ezreal face up, showing that we're going to pick Karma if you don't take it away. So kind of saying it's a dare. Do you take Ashe Seraphine, or do you steal away our Karma? And they actually opt to steal away the Karma and then pair it with a Sivir. And for a draft one, this isn't typically what we've been seeing. It's surprising that Ashe Seraphine has fully dropped through this draft here, which is going to mean that obviously the stock for that in draft number 2 is going to be through the roof. But here now we find ourselves a pairing where we've got Ezreal and Bard, a very strong set of champs. And honestly, all 3 of these champions are able to navigate around, counterplay the Cataclysm pretty well. We've been seeing a lot of early Jarvan picks because of the fact that most of the meta champions are countered by Cataclysm, but somehow LNG have found themselves a way where low-key all these champs do pretty well into the Jarvan.
Okay, I like it. At least giving themselves some wiggle room in the draft gap, if that's going to be the case. But we are in the second phase. We do see the Ambessa ban by LNG, so trying to take that one away from Hery. We do also have the Cassiopeia ban towards BuLLDog, so taking away some of the mid lane matchup a little bit before we get to that. And we will have the counter pick available in the second phase. Very curious who they're going to save it for.
Yeah, the Cassio ban is certainly quite interesting. Of course, Cassio does have a pretty hard time into high range champs, which is the likes of Karma and Sivir for sure. There's a bit of an interaction where if someone is stuck inside a Jarvan ult and you drop down the miasma, they can't really move. So maybe Juhan's a bit scared if he wants to, drop some Jarvan ults of his own and, doesn't want the Cassiopeia to be able to counteract that. Perhaps that's to do with Rise being available right now. I think that could definitely be something they could quite possibly look towards here. Definitely going to have to see who they opt for, but a lot of, you'd imagine that top lane will get the last pick. A flexible choice would be nice if you go for the Aurora, but definitely top lane last pick is pretty OP in a case like this.
Yeah, I'd say so. As now the important conversation is what that top lane do. As we'll end up seeing what LNG draft up for their last 2 here in the kind of 1-2 setup. And I've been curious because I do wonder how much they're going to be able to play around this bot lane if you're really going towards this kind of more safe bot lane, and maybe opting into some of these solo lanes could be important, and especially maybe BuLLDog getting some more of those resources, and it seems what they're leaning towards, at least for the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And picking into the Rise here, that's what the Cassio ban must have been for. The main counters are typically Cassio and Anivia, so I'm surprised that they opted for the Annie ban instead of the Anivia ban. So we're going to get to see a very strong
insta lock of the Vayne.
But wow, this has been something we've been seeing though, Mazel. A lot of people have been picking the Gnar blind, and a lot of people are willing to take the Vayne into the Gnar, which makes the game state very, very exciting because it just means the top lane is extremely volatile from the moment the game starts. Keep in mind, in Season 16, there is no downtime. The second those base gates fall, it's an all-out sprint to the bushes, whether it's top lane, whether it's bot lane, and when you draft the likes of 2 ranged characters, Vayne and Gnar, you can only imagine that contest, that priority of the top lane position, of those bushes, of that lane state, of which jungler's coming up there when. Now the whole game is warped around this draft of Is the Vayne going to get to accelerate or not?
Yeah, and there's multiple avenues, at least for both teams, in terms of carry performances and in terms of where resources can align. But I'm definitely going to be with you looking at what that top lane has in store for us. I think jungle is going to be extremely important. These first paths going to be extremely important to kind of keep an eye on for both of these teams. And I think we'll have to check in on bot lane later. We'll have to see what Photic does in the late game on the Sivir this time around. Again, it's the first time we are seeing Photic for OMG, but not the first time we're seeing him here in 2026. So a big change for OMG, trying to win now, win fast, with only 2 series left after this one against LNG. Both teams searching for their first series win. As we get into the first game of the night, it is LNG versus OMG in LNG's home arena. Okay.
If you listen real close, you hear
there were some, we heard them
gyos in the back there, so you can really tell. And wow, already I must point out Mazel, Sheer's starting selections here. Not only has he opted for Hail of Blades on the Gnar, he's even decided to opt for Cloth Armor 4 Potion and approaching the lane from the river. This is very interesting tech on the Gnar here. It's definitely not your everyday Gnar top lane circumstances here. So seems like he's got some kind of a clever approach to maybe
he's cosplaying
circumvent
ADC.
some of the potential, you know? Yeah.
Cosplaying
very
ADC. That's what our top laners want to do. That's how you know it's really cooked when top laners are trying to cosplay ADCs. It's fine. Hashtag not my
This is
ADC.
just the
Am I right?
I mean, it turns out ranged champions are just completely broken. That's the conclusion that I'm going to draw from this one.
Okay.
Yeah, you see that
I
they
feel
already
that.
placed those wards in those top lane bushes, because it's just so important to be able to see into the bush so your opponent can't really kite it in and out, manipulate the wave, get favorable trades. You see down here in the bot lane, the same type of deal. OMG getting the priority, but LNG making sure that they can at least have vision of the bush that they're going to be playing around, so that they have, you know, as much potential to trade back as possible.
Yeah.
And it's really going to be up to the junglers here to both pathing down, it looks like, or
True.
it's quite strange. It looks like the whole bot side is gone. Or it looks like both red side jungles are gone here. I think their clears are just exceptionally fast. I think I was too busy looking at those gyos that I didn't even notice that they've already both cleared. They're almost done their full clears here.
Yeah.
They're about to get
It'll
onto
be
this
opposite
draft.
side starts for both of them, so they'll finish on the opposite side unless we get a little bit of thing. I did want to give a shout out to Missing there. We saw the lower third come up, but just shout out to him. Number 13 in games played in the LPL, 700 total. That's a lot of games.
Gee whiz.
And, you know, finding himself on a team that maybe not many people expected him to be on, right? We've seen this guy consistently in Group Ascend time and time again since Group Ascend's inception. Obviously at the top of the table in a lot of teams that we've seen in the LPL, but trying to make it work here on LNG as we see a little bit of a push on the bot side for LNG's bot lane. And we might be looking at our first forays into combat here if Croco does want to go across. Looks like he's just going to make sure things are fine and dandy in mid lane and keep Haichao from backing for just a quick little moment, as it will be the trade of the scuttles.
These are the kind of small, seemingly meaningless plays that can have quite big implications for the game state. You see Haichao popping the ghost as soon as he can here. It looks like he's trying to get in range for the XP of the can. We're playing a little mini game here. Is he going to make it? I don't think he made it, Mazel. That is -1 ghost for Haichao's rise.
F in the chat for Haichao. Croco going for his first gank here. Looking for Hery. Hery's overextended. Gonna flash, so that will be returned to later on. Photic stepping up and taking a huge hit of damage. Does end up delivering a little bit of it back, but I'm more importantly looking at that flash for Hery in the top side.
Yeah, that is definitely going to have, you know, ramifications for how he's able to play out the remainder of this laning phase, because you already know that when there's a flashless Vayne, that is an immediate target you want to jump on, especially when Sheer gets that level 6 point. You can absolutely capitalize on that missing flash with your flashes, your Lee Sin, your Gnar. There's practically no way a Vayne can evade all of that with the flash kind of Gnar roll, the Lee Sin ward hop, and Lee Sin flash. Lee Sin being pretty good into the level 6 Vayne, as so long as he lands his Q or his E, Hery's not going to be able to go invisible. A pretty meaningful implication, whereas we see missing here, really trying to get up to no good, Mazel.
I like it.
I like it a lot. I really
See
do.
if they can punish it again. Just a little thing. 1xN was able to TP back to the bot lane, so he's able to keep a little bit of presence down there as well. Photic obviously just walking back, but it's 3 TPs for LNG to utilize for macro decision making as time goes on in this game. And you know, we have a little bit of a moment here when objectives are starting to come up and see if this dragon will be of any importance. But there is some serious scaling in this game. Like, if we do go late, there's going to be weapons on both sides.
Absolutely there is. Vayne, an absolute menace when it comes to scaling. As of right now, the current meta Vayne build is extremely strong. Basically, ever since she that point of her acquiring 2 items, she's going to be an extremely powerful character for the remainder of the game. Once Hery gets that Hex Plate with his Sheen item, whether it be typically the Essence Reaper, sometimes the Triforce, once those 2 items come in, Vayne will simply be, even if the gold is even across the board, a stronger champion than everyone else for the most part. But they do have some ways to tamper with him, especially the Anivia, a very, very strong champion, Mazel. BuLLDog on the Anivia here. You can disrupt fights single-handedly with you know, the Glacial Storm and a lot of that kit that Anivia offers you.
For sure. We're actually looking a little bit at this bot lane 2v2, but there's also a 1v1 happening in the jungle right now between Juhan and Croco. Juhan hit level 6 and decided he saw Croco. He can absolutely answer to him. Does end up wasting a little bit of time here with him, so we'll see how that affects things. But Croco's still lagging a little bit behind in XP. And no neutral objective started either way, and Grub's coming up in about 1:20. Who do you favor in these early game around objectives, at least, Fulls?
Yeah, particularly when it's going to come down to these grubs here, that's what I'm thinking about most. It seems that the dragon isn't necessarily a free objective for either team to secure right now. You know, if Jarvan or Lee Sin were to start hitting that, unless his bot lane has a significant advantage, it's going to be pretty easy for them to stop him. Whereas with these grubs, I really think OMG should have a decent look on them. They can develop a timer where they bring their support up. I'm sure that both supports would probably come, Moham and Missing. But as long as they have even numbers, I think they are favored because the Vayne with her ultimate and with the exhaust as well. Meanwhile, BuLLDog though, hold on.
Okay.
Who's in danger here?
Is going to follow through on a Moham. The chain will not go through, so it should be okay. And yeah, very close to trades. You can feel the tension rising in this game. It hasn't broken just yet, but we are getting very close to the action really kicking off.
Yeah, you can tell that, you know, we've just been trading some minor consequences, summoner spells and the likes, you know, recall interruptions, what have you. But as you say, it's just a matter of time with this tension rising that something is going to have to give in and break, especially with these mid laners. Flying close to the sun is Haichao.
I think he missed the cannon. Unfortunate.
Sun there in the Anivia. They're going to start up with the LNG as they're going to start the Drake here as LNG. It's going to be pretty doable. After that look they found on Moham, you know, yeah, why not? You know, you take yours, I'll take mine, they say. Pretty reasonable.
Oh, Moham gets almost killed and stopped in the back. And we do see both objectives getting traded out. Yeah,
but looks like we may have a follow-up for once. Photic completely sprinting it out of there.
Flash still too on the hunt, really being used well. And the ghost as well.
Surely somebody's gonna get caught by one of these overextensions.
Yep, it looks like it might be Sheer. Gets stuck in the Cataclysm. Does end up having to burn his flash too.
Gosh, it's just a back and forth. It's like almost every time OMG's making a play, LNG's making one on the other side of the map. You see there, they're trading objectives, then they're trading summoner spells. You saw that Croco forced out Photic's Ghost. You see Juhan forcing out Sheer's Flash.
Really
That's
nicely done.
Big look.
Juhan is still here, though. We'll get the exhaust out of Hery, though.
It's the same story, Mazel. It's like we're finding a decent look. Oh, -1 summoner spell, -1 summoner spell. We're just losing summoner spells. Eventually, these luxury tools are no longer going to be available, and somebody is surely going to have to be first blooded. It's just a matter of time.
Haichao taking some really tough trades. I mean, it's really hard to get this trade in. There's a reason why BuLLDog was so confident taking the Anivia as the counter pick here, or at least the last pick. And counter pick at least. We do see the redeploy coming out from both junglers at least. We don't get much of an advantage for either side. And I guess I want to check in on that a little bit more as well, because you did have the Vayne lock-in for OMG. Does it need to be farther ahead? I know we talked about the scaling itself, but it does feel like Sheer is getting kind of a pass for now.
I would say no, that the Vayne actually doesn't need to be further ahead. It's more of an answer that as long as she's not stifled and put behind, you know? Because as I mentioned before, at that 2-item spike, Vayne just becomes significantly stronger than most champions do at 2-item spikes. And he is well on his way towards that, that Hex Plate and that Sheen item, so he's going to be extremely strong. And they haven't successfully set him back. Another look here in the box.
Oh, Croco is going to show up. Tries to go for the insect. Moham gets one more hit and one exit. Finally, 10 minutes and 40 plus seconds into the game, gets first blood, and it's for LNG.
It didn't look pretty, and it did cost a fair bit of tools in the Lee Sin Flash ult, the Bard ult, but they did finally kill somebody after all this tension. Sheer, however, could be completely vulnerable here, Mazel. No flash, but look.
No, he's got reinforcements, baby. You hear the footsteps coming down the way, and OMG just back off.
Hold up.
Hery did not get the message. I don't know. Yeah, he's in trouble now. He's going to have to be really careful here. There was lost in translation, lost in the mail. I don't care, but Hery is just lost to life. That is going to be Sheer getting another kill for LNG.
And that is astronomical for Sheer to get that kill onto the Gnar. Gonna really put him back into this game. We even get Hery's flash there, I do believe, still getting clipped by the Bard stun. I'm sure we've all been there before, where you just ask yourself, how on the green earth of God did this Bard spell just stun me? We may never know, but unfortunately for Hery, that's gonna be his life for the meanwhile. And this is the kind of death that really does have consequences for the Vayne. He's luckily able to complete the Hex Plate, but he's definitely not going to be nearly on pace to complete that second item where he becomes oh so powerful.
It's going to be a little bit troubling. Still, you just got to keep your head in the game. Keep going forward. You do have another dragon coming up at about a minute's time. Would be a second dragon for LNG. So I want to see if they can utilize some of this early advantage, which has grown to about 1.8k now, to kind of propel themselves with this early stacking of the neutral objectives. But if we're looking at OMG, I mean, how do things get stabilized here for you? Does it have to come through Juhan? Does it have to come through just waiting it out and not giving more over?
It may have to come from some proactivity. You bring up the prospect of waiting it out, but I fear if you're too patient, this game can definitely slip away from you. The Anivia late game is just so oppressive. Your Vayne can be extremely powerful, but even one Anivia W, one Anivia R can completely disrupt everything Hery wants to do and the rest of OMG. So I'd like to see them find some type of look. It's a good shout with Juhan and that Cataclysm. You can definitely at least burn a flash and set up for a follow-up play at the very least. Drake coming up here. Surely you don't give this.
Ooh, Moham has to flash. A Croco was going to follow through right over the wall if he did not. So really nice heads up play there from Moham. But yeah, that objective is just going to be given. And here they go. OMG back to the top lane. Well, Sheer playing extremely reserved, which I'd love to see from this guy. And it does mean that Haichao has to go back towards mid lane. Turret might still fall. Okay, the minions go down, and OMG, they miss out on that top lane play.
I would say well played by both teams. You definitely want to find something. I think this shouldn't be too much danger here. I won't spare.
Dude, everybody wants to be a part of this top lane.
This definitely can go very awry, very fast. If somebody gets hit by the wrong spell, again, that cosmic binding from the Bard can just do wonders. You always want to be careful. Feels like every time we're looking at this mid lane, hold up.
Oh, missing.
Pop in the final hour.
Trying to get the heal through. The shield, it's not enough. Hery just takes down missing as he mispositioned, and that's a big one for the veteran, at least here on LNG.
A huge kill onto Hery. That's the power of the Bane. You see how much damage and movement speed, but here comes 1xN.
Yeah, 1xN coming from the top row. He does miss almost everything. Does get the Essence Flux there. One more auto could do it. The boomerang comes through, and Ju-Han sacrifices his life with the Cataclysm. Now BuLLDog has shown up, and it's just a top lane red carpet here. A who's who of LNG showing up to answer onto OMG.
And it appears that Teleport is the best summoner spell in the game. May as well take it on AD carry every chance you get. I don't think I've seen that in my time watching LPL this split, where an AD carry Teleport just completely swings the map in one team's favor. I've seen some AD carries take Teleport, but that was an extremely proactive usage of it. And you see they completely rotate their chess pieces around the map, get sheer into the bot lane now. He's got his Triforce. LNG practically loses nothing for a free overload into the top side here.
Oh, Haichao gonna try to get in here, but yeah, the Magical Journey does just get them out. Hery will have his TP for completing his top lane quest, but you know, just thinking about it, they don't have TPs besides Hery having his for his quest. It is 3 TPs versus 1.
That is such a good point. You almost never see that in these kind of competitive games. You at least see maybe a TP disparity of 1, sometimes 2, but a TP disparity of 3, Mazel, is just unheard of. Can't remember the last time I've seen that, where, again, as you say, one team has 3 and the other does not. That Bard Q clipping onto Hery there, completely swinging that favor, that play into LNG's favor. A huge deal, meaning that OMG is really going to want to find some look on the next sequence here to recover from that huge gold swing that LNG has just picked up. 1xN even finishing his second item already. So.
Yeah, and it's a tough position to be in, down like 3,000 gold in the earlier part of the game. OMG going to be sticking to their scaling guns, but they need to be able to make it there. I think that's the biggest question that's being raised right now. Ju-Han has tried to be proactive, hasn't really found the mold yet, as we actually see that Futic just getting accosted in the mid lane. Did it of having to burn his flash to get away.
And that there is just the power of the Anivia, just able to fully control territory and force your opponents into positions they just don't want to be in. The Sivir basically just walking in a straight line, fully mind controlled by BuLLDog, because there's nowhere else you can click. You're just forced to get fully chunked out sometimes by these Anivia walls. When they are well placed like that, you can tell from that clip alone that BuLLDog does have the proficiency on the Anivia, because make no mistake, as powerful as this champion is, it is not the easiest champ in the world to pilot with and to capitalize with, to find looks like that. So very costly for Futic here, looking to make his debut on OMG, and we're gonna want to see OMG find anything at all before this third Drake, because otherwise LNG is well on their way to what's that, about a 24-minute soul? That is very threatening.
Yeah, that is very, very threatening indeed. And it's funny, we see so much focus on this top side, and obviously 1xN came into that last fight and got some gold for it, but he's up a steady 1.4, 1.5k over Futic, and that's going to be hard to catch up on. Yes, obviously Sivir gets some really nice clearing tools as time goes on, a couple items, that's going to be really, really nice, but you're coming into the perfect moment for 1xN on the Ezreal. You're going to have 2 items coming up, right? And that's going to feel really good in a lot of these skirmishes that now OMG are going to have to be at to keep at least some control of the game. Dragon is coming up now, fools.
Yeah, so as OMG, you pretty much get one chance to stabilize the game, to fix everything that's gone wrong. And you can either take it now or take it later. Because it's the LPL.
Oh, Ju-Han. Oh, that's going to feel so bad. As he just doesn't understand, or at least doesn't read the situation, and unfortunately will fall to the preemptive strike of LNG. Sheer should be fine in the mid lane, and that'll be Dragon number 3 for LNG.
Yeah, sometimes it can just feel like there's nothing you can realistically do as Hery forced.
Missing's playing a Chad Bard right now. He's just getting people to flash time and time again.
Is he ever? These Tempered Fates are just all over OMG's feats right now. They just have nowhere to stand. They're just stepping in what
Let's go, Photic. Good pathing. Good pathing, Photic. Didn't go through the jungle. Didn't get killed by Croco, who's waiting for him. Let's go, baby.
Hey, no cap. This adds up, you know. If Photic can really keep that that middle column of his KDA at 0, there will be a point in this game where Sivir has all of the tools and the potential necessary to single-handedly offer what OMG really lacks right now. As you see, they have not really any power points across the board. As you see Photic finally picking up the Flicker Blades here, meaning he's going to be a little bit more potent and powerful, but 1xN well on his way towards the Spear of Shojin. BuLLDog about to finish the Roa as well, 9 stacks out of 10. LNG's about to spike even more than they already have. So it feels like as OMG, the clock is ticking here, man.
5,000 gold down at 20 minutes into the game. Obviously, there's kind of like a weird curve where eventually it won't matter, but that's not anytime soon right now. And I think, you know, we just saw the Roa completed there, at least the timing completed for BuLLDog. He's going to be feeling really good. Croco's playing with his food here as Photic's just getting AoE down, burns the flash over the wall. And OMG struggling to find answers early into game number 1.
Absolute Anivia masterclass from BuLLDog here. I think he's got that wall fully maxed out, if not 4 points in the wall.
Oh my god, Moham just almost dies.
Where can they even stand? We gave him the
spotlight. Oh, missing. That's multiple times this game that he's had some really tough positioning. Missing will fall. And unfortunately, that takes a little bit of the wind out of the sails of LNG.
It sure does, but on the bright side, you are burning the flash out of Photic and Moham there, which is absolutely huge for the ensuing fight that might take place at this Soul Ocean Drake. And Anivia, one of the best champs in the entire game at actually punishing flashless carries. So you gotta be really, really careful as Photic and Moham. It could very much be the case that there's just gonna be no way to enter into this Ocean Drake in a couple minutes time unless they find some look beforehand, some kind of a pick, some kind of a map play. We've been wanting to see the Realm Warp find some look at all this game. This is why you picked the Rise Mazel, and we haven't seen any proactivity from Haichao's Realm Warp this game. So
we wanted to talk about mid lane. We want to talk. Oh, Haichao's been playing so confidently. He's just been a little bit scared to go a little bit too far. But that's honestly a position that Rise we've seen many times before from even other teams, is just kind of waiting till you hit the precipice and hoping that you can make it there. But again, we said earlier, don't know how much waiting OMG is going to be able to do. Juhan is on a flank here, looking for a little bit of an angle. They are going to be lacking Haichao, but he can join. Does have the Realm Warp. Juhan thinking about it, but now in a little bit of a troubling situation as the siege is going to come down on the outer turret here by Haichao. He's going to get a little bit of damage and a plate there. Tempered Fate dodged out of. He just walks himself out as he does pop the ghost. And again, a very big theme of this game so far is a lot of summoner spells being burned, a lot of abilities being used, nobody dying. As we have about 1 minute and 15 seconds till the next dragon.
And as scuffed as Missing's previous play looked, and I will say that theme has been extremely prevalent. You know, typically some play actually hits home where, you know, in the early game, people do end up having to, you know, they get slain by some of these looks from the enemy team, but we've just been seeing summoner spells traded all game. Only 8 kills taking place this game. I was going to say how Missing's mistakes, they have looked kind of scuffed, but his highlights have been just as the opposite. You know, he's been really having some meaningful summoner spell burning that he's been doing to the enemy team. They just haven't even been able to play the game their way. You know, they've got a Bard and an Anivia. How on earth are you accessing this bottom river right now?
Yeah, very true. And I think that's something to kind of keep an eye out on, as OMG going to be forced with the question mark of can they fight a dragon fight? It is an Ocean Soul. That would be so huge for LNG. And OMG know that. Haichao caught out. Oh god, this can't be the start of it. Immediately red flags going up for OMG, but they're going to at least center their force around this Pixel Brush entrance to the Dragon Pit. Juhan immediately caught out, and BuLLDog's doing a wonderful job with these walls. As Haichao goes for a little bit of a flank angle, but he's just going to get ran down. Haichao makes a little bit of a mistake there, and now they have fully split their power potential. And Juhan just says, we gotta go. They are coming around the corner. The reinforcements for LNG are coming, and they are coming fast. It's going to be LNG finding one, finding two. Photic in his first game is just going to go down with nothing to say, and a wallop secures the third. Another one bites the dust, and LNG immediately find four. Haichao going to step up, try to get that redemption play that we talked about, but it's not there. LNG wipe the floor with OMG, and game number one seems all but theirs.
Absolute clinical masterclass from world's contender LNG, if I may say. You know, I really think this is just a draft gap, Mazel. I feel like there's practically nothing that OMG's comp can do from a position like this. Genuinely, if you have these abilities and these champions, what on earth can you possibly do at all to enter this river? It looks like a really just awful attempt on, you know, with our eyes, but there is no alternative. Like, either you just give the soul and slowly, gradually, the game slips away further and further and you just lose that way, or you try something, and unfortunately, there's just nothing that even possibly can work. So I'm not sure how they can realistically find a way into this game. The best idea I've got is somehow realm warping Juhan into a Baron steal. Other than that, I think they're completely chalked.
And a little fun fact coming into this one, it doesn't mean much, obviously, but take it with a grain of salt. Neither team has won a red side game so far this split. Now LNG, they might be on the cusp of doing the seemingly impossible and winning a red side game here in game number one. Somebody's got to win on red side from these two teams, but it's the Baron that had gotten started up, trying to force some of the resources out of OMG. Now LNG just looking for blood. Again, they have this Ocean Soul. They can continue to just siege down the mid lane, but now they're a little bit split, maybe a little overzealous, but Juhan is just getting bursted down. You have Hery, who's going all Super Saiyan here. He's trying to get one kill, doesn't even get it, and gets smashed to the ground by Croco. Now Photic gonna flash over the wall. That wall has been the bane of his existence. True Shot Barrage not going to connect through, but Croco goes for the stunning play. Doesn't end up getting the kill just yet, but he might be able to follow through on it. Moham is the next target, and unfortunately Croco just misplayed that entire sequence of events, and that will mean that LNG don't have their jungler.
I mean, that did look very cool from Croco. Don't get me wrong, that did look very, very
great.
Slick. But unfortunately, it didn't work. So, hey, maybe OMG, though, might have a way in. As Croco here, you definitely do not need to do that. So he low-key through, because you can imagine he's probably feeling a bit overzealous. This Ocean Soul is like a drug, you know. You just feel so powerful. How can you die? You're like Mundo at level 16, it feels like. And
dude,
we see here Hery
doesn't get him, man.
Yeah, he can't, because this Ocean Soul's too OP, man. This guy, this Bard is just rage baiting him, living on slivers of HP and hiding in the vision. Starting the Baron?
It is desperation right now. Maybe trying to catch LNG sleeping a little bit. Juhan, though, might be sleeping very soon, and that's with the fishes, not even with the Baron.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, appreciate it. You got my back.
Yeah, and unfortunately their Nexus is doomed for the same fate, I fear, and as is Baron.
Alright, Baron's getting low. It's like, hey, you want to try to start it up? You're not able to do it. We can. 8,000 gold lead, and they might just turn for the play. The wall is going to be there to keep OMG out, and Baron, number one, goes to LNG, rather.
I believe they will all proceed to die in the next 30 seconds. I'm calling it now.
Realm Warp to safety. There you go.
Okay, 1 minute. I give them 1 minute.
They're added to the
unless
timer for the Realm
LNG
Warp.
is feeling very patient, they could just really draw them around the map, playing on multiple lanes at once. But I fear as OMG that LNG's comp can just run towards you, set up an Anivia wall, toss out a Tempered Fate. You know, you can even put a Cosmic Binding into the Anivia wall. There's just, you don't have flashes on literally anyone except for Juhan. And I just fear that there's no way you can possibly defend this ensuing push. We see BuLLDog here. He does have a Shattered Arm Guard. If he opts to recall and teleport with that Zhonya's, I think it's all but said and over. You've got to find some look fast as OMG, but it's never going to work.
Yeah. And the biggest problem is it's just felt like it wasn't necessarily a super quiet game from OMG. They tried to make plays in topside over and over again. Photic is not going to die. He'll be fine. Keeping it calm, cool, and collected there. Juhan, though, is maybe a different conversation as he almost dies. But OMG were trying things. It just never stuck. They never came away with anything. And LNG made capitalizations on map play, on macro, using the TPs that they have a massive advantage with over OMG, and just fully macroing out this game over this team that is so desperate for a win.
Yeah, must win here for the most part is OMG as well. And Photic's debut on OMG, this is important, but their backs are against the wall. You've got to click on them at some point.
Juhan tries to go through. It's going to be LNG getting a little bit low. Hery getting jumped on by Croco in 1x and ends his life with a big Mystic shot. Missing is still going to be alive. 4 members of OMG still trying to put on the defense of a lifetime, but it's Croco who's finishing the game, and Juhan just dies. It's a 1xn show right now as he tries to take down Photic. Gets himself a triple. Is it going to be a penta? It's going to be another one. That's going to be a quadra.
Get there.
He's looking for it. Oh, wait, no. It's Rise that took it. Oh, or Rise that at least ends up going down, and that's going to be a full clean finish from LNG over OMG in game number 1, and they finally won on red side. Let's go.
Red side has finally seen the light of day for one of these two teams, and we saw there a 5,000 gold lead once all was said and done for 1xn, completely popping off. And if I may call us back, as you were saying, that teleport, all of those teleports just completely enabled LNG to have the map just sort of puppeteering their pieces, just fully having their way with, OMG's pawns. And there wasn't really any access points as OMG. It felt like that comp just was so good at controlling space and preventing the enemies from ever getting into you. You just couldn't really ever access. And gosh, that Anivia pick was just completely carrying the game, if I may say. And I will touch, to be a bit meta, we did decide to turn the lights fully off here. You know, this motion sensor is just not going to cooperate. So Mazel has decided to just despawn in entirety, you know, to join us. But I can't help but mention just how overpowered that Anivia champ was. You see, he was just crystallizing walls, just fully taking up the screen. And unfortunately for Photic, he just had nowhere to go, nothing to do. So, I mean, I guess we're going to take a look at the post-game stats, but it's got to be probably a BuLLDog MVP, you know? I mean, as much as 1xn had a 5k gold lead and he did TP in, just those Anivia walls were just completely carrying the game. So it's hard to say if I would rather hand it to the Anivia or the Ezreal. I mean, I think everybody did offer quite a lot from LNG. Even missing was like just Tempered Fading off cooldown, burning sums all game. And so there was, I just hope I don't have to play against that team comp when I queue up for solo queue after this, because that does not sound very balanced or very enjoyable. I'm not gonna lie. So looks like Mazel's computer just died randomly and he will be restarting. So as long as Mazel's alive, that's good. It was just the computer who died. So good timing though, high key. Yeah. I mean, somebody might need to help us out over here. We've a bit of a miscommunication between BuLLDog and I, but it's gonna be all good. You know, we see the post-game stats here: 1xn fully popping off and just doing more damage than pretty much everybody else on his team, with BuLLDog offering a fair bit as well. But as the Anivia, the real stat is never the damage. If anything, there should be some kind of a CC score that shows just how disruptive you can be with those, those Anivia Ws and those Anivia ults and those stuns. It's crazy to me that champion can have 3 crowd controls with the Q, the W, and the R. It's a really, really powerful champion. It makes you wonder why Haichao and why OMG would want to opt for the Rise, knowing that Anivia was open, choosing to ban Annie instead. And this is not just one of the 2 looks that happened on a Hery, or rather, this is not the only time this happened to Hery, where actually it makes you wonder if there was a bit of a language gap, because of course Juhan being Korean, he backed off of this play. He made it seem like Hery was going to be, he was going to defend Hery and keep him safe, but he backed it out. And again, the Bard champ just having so much access, we see Mazel is spawning back in, so that's the good news. But you know, how can you play here as the Vayne top? This is the last pick of the draft, Mazel.
I'm back.
And he's just getting completely, you know, pretty much what happened to you just then is what was happening to Hery.
Dude, your Nocturne ult is contagious. I don't know, bro.
Dude, I thought we thought you was gonna go turn on the lights, man. What happened?
My PC just decided to turn off. I don't know. That was weird. Anyways, yeah, tough game for OMG. Very tough. Though I will say our big thing about mid lane, about BuLLDog, didn't really work out. You had some good moments from BuLLDog. I think some of those walls were ridiculously strong, but you know, not the fireworks maybe I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to see Haichao have some playmaking proactivity, you know, some kind of champ. I mean, I like to see a Silas. It was looking pretty good in the series that I was doing my homework on, but it feels like I was touching on this, you know, while I was, you know, talking about what happened in this game here and in the draft. And I was thinking, why on earth are we picking the Rise when we know the Anivia is available? And even still, you'd think that Sivir and Karma, like, I mean, as much as we can't get over the Anivia wall, like, we do have movement speed, we have spell shields, you know. Clearly, Anivia was a problem, and she very well should have been banned if this is what you were going to end up doing. You know, perhaps their read was, oh, Anivia can't be that bad. You know, like, we can let her through. It's not going to be a problem. BuLLDog's like, oh, really? Proceeds to put as many points in W as possible and just completely cut off, you know, Photic from being able to play in his OMG debut. That's got to sting, man. You know, you got to be, like, really questioning what's going on there. And in those post-game stats, you don't get to see how much BuLLDog did, but he was low-key my MVP, man.
Okay. Photic's like, man, like, why is Anivia back in the meta, bro? Like, get out of here. get him out, bro. Well, I do want to ask you, we'll be getting our MVP vote here very soon. Do you have any big votes of who you think it's going to be?
Yeah, so I'm almost certain it's just got to be 1xN, a 5k gold lead, most damage dealt, just completely popping off on the Ezreal. Game-winning play, if I may say, with that teleport into the top lane.
Got his like penta stolen.
Yeah, true. Knocked it. Hey, noticing. Hashtag noticing. But it looked like in the top lane, Hery and they were finally making progress. As you remember, the theme of that game was just permanently burning summoner spells. But 1xN
is Croco.
Croco, of all people, was not expected from him. I'm going to let you justify this one.
I ain't got justice for this. Robbed. 1xN robbed.
This can't be right, man. Maybe they got the wrong photo, the wrong name. What's going on?
Yeah. It's just a mistake on the graphic side. Croco had some good moments. Yeah, he had some good moments.
You remember he did like the cool, like, actually I remember there's this guy.
don't remember that one. It didn't look good. It didn't go good.
There is this one guy who maybe he was like making a reference to. He's actually a Korean player on the KR server, but his name is Cien Combo Lee. And he does some crazy shenanigans with the ward hop and the flash. And Croco was channeling his inner Cien Combo Lee right there.
So, all right, well, cool. Yeah, not bad. Well, LNG win game number 1. Croco gets MVP. We'll see what OMG can do to bounce back. Before we get going, though, if you'd like to support the LPL English product, please consider going and becoming a Coffee member. Coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, since a vast majority of the payments do go straight and directly into the show, either through the broadcast package, paying all the volunteers that make this a daily access show. And if you do become a Coffee member, you do potentially get access to early content, as well as asking interview questions once internationals start coming back around. We'll hopefully get Fulls Nocturne ulted after this little break, and we will be back for game 2 of